What's up, everybody, and welcome into another edition of the NCAA Hoops Betting Hour. I am your host, the big man on campus. He's Donnie Rightside. It is Thursday, and I guess we can call it the official start of March Madness. Begins today. We got 4 playing games. We're going to break them all down. Tournament starts tomorrow. And Donnie, we've said it since we started this thing, this little Borgata here. We are pumped and ready to go for March. We're here the whole way through, but it's just so surreal having this because we didn't think we'd have it. And here we are.
Yep, you got the first 4, Jeff, ends with the final 4, and it's finally underway to talk about some games and teams that can advance into March Madness. It's been a couple of days. We had the primer shows the previous week, getting you ready for March Madness this week. March Madness officially here with the Thursday slate, a nice 4-pack of games, Jeff, to try to get after it. And this is where the rubber meets the road, and everything gets even more important. Why? Because there's a lot of money on the line. And what do I mean by that? 9 experts are now giving their best bets each and every day. The tournament, Jeff, right here with PicksWise, $10,000 cash prize at the end of it for the person who has the most profit. John Rothstein, Rashard Phillips, Megan making money from the FanDuel Sportsbook, and the big man on campus, Jeff Nadu. Futures picks from all contestants will be up. Keep an eye out for it. The most spread doesn't matter, Jeff. About hey, you can have the best winning percentage. It's all about profit at the end of the day. And yes, I'm setting it as a favorite for the big man on campus, Jeff Nadu here.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of people in the contest that are good. We'll see how it goes. I've been doing this a long time. This is my thing, so we'll see how it goes. But, Donnie, I really just wanted to get on my soapbox here real quick.
Go.
Donnie, how many people out there said, we're not going to have a baseball season. Mm-hmm. We're not going to have an NBA season. We're not going to have a college football or NFL season. And what do we have? We have champions at every single one, whether it be the LA Dodgers, the LA Lakers, or the Alabama Crimson Tide, or the, who won the Super Bowl? The
Bucs. You forgot already, Jeff.
I know. The season's running. Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, everyone said this wasn't going to happen. It's not been easy this last year, but we get the possible best one, the tournament. And arguably, Donnie, it ain't going to be that much different.
No, it's not. When you take a look at some things, like maybe the kids from Penn, Princeton, Harvard, sitting back, Yale, said, hey, maybe they didn't think it was going to happen, but here we are in the championship. Would have been a nice way to crown their season in the Ivy League by putting a team in the tournament like they usually do, but they sat it out. And as they say, Jeff, the show must go on, just goes on without them, and it's going to be an exciting card. 4 games today, Jeff, on tap, 5 o'clock tip, 6:27 tip, 8:40 tip, and a 9:57 tip tonight.
Do they have bands coming? They have to make the bands come. Like, I feel like
I doubt it. I doubt the band is coming. No, Sister Jean's coming, but I doubt the band is coming, Jeff.
Yeah. A lot of people weren't happy about that. She's 101 for God's sake. She's a nun, for Christ's sake. All right, Donnie. We got 4 games, and they're all staggered, all different times, all different locations, or at least 2 at different locations. Let's break them down here. Those
are good games to start off. And why do we like those and try to find that added angle, Jeff? We're not sitting here picking a game like, 23.5 point line, 26.5 point line, 11.5 point line. Check out these lines here. Pick them. -1, +3, +2, all here listed at the FanDuel Sportsbook. What we're going to do is we'll go by time as usual here to, sort of tip it off. So let's just start with the Mount St. Mary's Texas Southern game here, Jeff, as we tip it off tonight. If we look as well, again, as I said, this is a pick'em. Money line right now, Jeff, at the FanDuel Sportsbook, -108 for Mount St. Mary's, -108 for Texas Southern, an over-under of 133. Initial thoughts for yourself here, Jeff, on this game tonight.
Yeah, this game actually, Donnie, and I'm gonna preface this. This is actually a game I picked for the PickWise contest. I really think there's some edges in this game that need to be looked at. And when you look at this game, I have to give some respect to both these teams. They were not the favorites to win their conference. Texas Southern had really battled, but they were really good in their championship game against a good Prairie View team. Mount St. Mary's beat a good Bryant team, both well coached and both have their own specialties. But when I look at Mount St. Mary's, Donnie, they are a defensive-laden team, right? They are very good defensively. They're going to slow tempo down. They want to make you beat them in the half court. They're long on the back end with Opoku and Jefferson. And then they have a water bug guard at 5'8" and Chung Kui who can guard the hell out of you. And he's kind of the best player on the court every single time. They are going to basically turn Texas Southern, Donnie, into a jump shooting team. Now, it's important to realize in these SWAC, Donnie, one of the major issues this conference has in general is they can't shoot. It just can't. In fact, Texas Southern is the worst three-point shooting team in this tournament, and it's not close. At 27.7%, the next closest team's in the 30s. This is a disastrous team offensively for shooting the ball. If you're Mount St. Mary's, if they can even get through the lane past that big hawking front line, I would turn Texas Southern into a jump shooting team. They're just not real consistent at making jump shots. And one thing that I do like about Texas Southern, it's not the norm for them. Usually they're very poor defensively, but they actually are decent this year. They did a really nice job defensively. You know, they didn't get crushed. They didn't get blown out really in any game in conference. And, you know, they held even their non-con teams low and slow. I think this game has turned into a real rock fight grinder type of game where neither team is going to go quick. Neither team is going to have the opportunity to go quick. I think it's turned into a hitting jump shots type of game. And look, I'll always lean on a guy like Chung Kui. I think he's terrific. And I will say, look, Michael Weathers is really good also. It's going to be a great point guard battle here between Weathers and Chung Kui. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take the Mount to I think get the job done. But I think the best play in this game is the under. When you're looking at that price at 133, I just think this is a 1 to 60 game. I think that the conditions and the not playing for a week or so really kind of it's a slow type of start, a sloggy start. Wouldn't surprise me, Donnie, at the under 4 timeout if this game's like 19 to 16. I think this is a low scoring game played in the half court. I'll lean Mount to get a 65-60 win.
And we joked yesterday on the show, Jeff, make sure you know where True TV is because this is a 5-10 jump as we have listed here on the FanDuel Sportsbook from Assembly Hall. That is Indiana University's home gym, so we'll keep an eye on that. But you are right when you're trying to pull out some facets here because no longer can we match up, Jeff, conference play versus conference play. You have to take a look at a national look, and you're right, 342nd in the country at shooting the three, and also when you match up with Mount St. Mary's, Jeff, one of the best teams in the country at defending the three, and also inside the arc. So you have a good defense versus a team that struggles a little bit to score. I like this because you're talking about kids here. Now the bright lights are on them. Shooting, if you already struggle shooting, chances are it's probably not going to improve against a team that can really defend as well. And the tempo might not be there. Texas Southern might want to push it, but we know the winners of these games usually dictate tempo and pace in this game. And if you're not making shots, Mount St. Mary's can slow it down. I agree with you. I like the under 133 in this game as well.
And one thing about Bryant that I think needs to be talked about is this conference that they're in, the NEC, there's a lot of tempo teams. LIU, Bryant, St. Francis of Brooklyn. Look at all the scores involving those teams. So look at LIU, 66-60, 64-46. Played Bryant, 73-68. It got a little long towards the end of the game just with fouls and that kind of stuff. These games, 57-55 against Wagner. Just low scoring, knockdown, drag out games where they're just not going to be very high scoring and they can play and just kind of cut down. They're going to dictate the tempo in this game, Mount is. And again, I'm always going to lean with them just because I do think they're better defensively and they have a real good front line and a guy in Chung Kui can get it done. But neither team is going to have real success scoring because neither team can really shoot it either. So you're not going to have those 11 for 18 three-point shooting games here. This is a sloggy game. I like the under.
Hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs down, hit the subscribe button, growing each and every day right here on PicksWise, the Hoops Betting Hour with Jeff Nadu, also brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook. A lot of really good things that are going on right now on the book, and obviously you can get down and wager on these with FanDuel. Wager responsibly, of course. Bet responsibly in the tournament, Jeff. And even if you don't like one of these first 4 games, Friday, they are really going to be kicking it off in earnest, but there's some value that we can find in these. And the game I'm more excited for than any one of these in the first four, Jeff, that's going to be Drake and Wichita State. We saw a lot of line movement here where Wichita State opened up as the favorite, -2 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Now we're taking a look, Jeff. Drake is the favorite, -1. This is due to some injury information coming out that we are projecting for this game. A healthier squad from the Drake side, but also Wichita State also coming in healthy as one of my favorite names in college basketball, Jeff, Isaiah Poor Bear Chandler, due to suit it up and get it on. If we take a look at the lines, as I said again, Wichita State now a dog at +100 on the money line, over under of 141. Drake, Wichita State, 627 tip, Jeff.
Yeah, I think from a watch standpoint, this will be a fun game.
Yeah.
I think from a betting standpoint, though, it is very difficult. You have two teams here, one in Wichita that I got to be honest, I don't know if they were a team that I would have had in the field if I were making the decisions. I think they're a team that you're just a little too much. It's just a little soft defensively, and I think we'll struggle against some of the movement that Drake had. But Drake's incorporating a new player, Donnie, and Hemphill, who hasn't been around in a while. Look, the Hemphill, incorporating him in is only going to help. He is a terrific guy as far as getting to the basket. You're creating offensively. He could take guys one-on-one. I really liked what I've seen out of Yusufu. I don't know if having Roman Penn, it's not the worst thing because Yusufu's really kind of turned this team into a dribble, penetrate, and kick out the shooters, and that's what they do well. Wichita is not a team that rebound the ball real well. I expect that Brody and some of the other bigs for Drake have some quote-unquote field days on the block. I just think, Donnie, the Hemphill return could be, kind of incorporating him back in. It just takes some time. And, Donnie, I don't want to do this, but the betting public is slamming Drake here. It's not a side I really love being on. And Wichita has and will play a lot of close games. Wichita has guys that I think can key in on a guy like Yusufu, who is a guy that wants to just kind of get into the teeth of the defense. I just wonder if Wichita can score consistently. They seem to struggle with that at times. They didn't play particularly well towards the end of the season. I thought they were really poor against South Florida. You can make the case they really shouldn't even be here, but they can use that as kind of a springboard. The Cincinnati game was kind of tough. You ended up losing it. I just didn't really love how they played towards the end of the season. Even like the Tulane game, some of the games at the end weren't
Cincinnati.
They just weren't particularly good for them. I lean Drake. I think they move on. I have them moving on. But I wonder how the Hemphill, how effective is he? Is this just we're rushing him back because we want to get 10 minutes out of him, and then he ultimately doesn't even play much? Then I think this game is a little more interesting. I think with the Hemphill return, it'll punch them just above to get a win. But I don't think from a betting standpoint it has a ton of value. It's a very difficult game.
Keep in mind also when we're talking about betting these games as well, Drake, Wichita State, because again, the injury information is key. If you get Hemphill back and oh my goodness, he's right back to his form, that is an added bonus. But we also talk about what happens if he's not. It gives you the option here. When you take a look at FanDuel Sportsbook here, you can get down in game. So if you see Hemphill over the first 5 minutes, Jeff, 3 of 4 from 3, penetrate, looks like he never missed a beat. That's an added incentive and advantage where if you bet the game pre, said, hey, I like Wichita State, or even if you like Drake, he doesn't look so good, or he's in the starting lineup, it comes right back out. You can still get down on some of these games in-game wagers, and also a lot of good things here at the FanDuel Sportsbook here, Jeff. $1,000 free bet for new users here. Great examples that you can use any bet. You take a look at Michigan here. You want to bet them as a futures market as the tournament gets underway. Put $1,000 on them. If you win, you get the $6,000 for winning the 6-to-1 bet. And also, Jeff, they're going to pay you out on the $1,000 free bet as well. That's what separates the FanDuel Sportsbook from other sportsbooks. Paying cash value on the free bet when it does cash. Sign up by using the link below in the description. Use the promo code PICKSWISE to claim that now. The tournament is here. You want to get down. FanDuel is the book for you, big man.
Yeah, it definitely is. And at FanDuel right now, one other bet, Donnie, here that I think is kind of interesting is the under 141. You have a team in Drake who, obviously, as we said, I think they're going to take some time to get adjusted to Hemphill back. It will help. Wichita is not terrible defender. They're actually quite good. And one thing about Drake, they have one of the longest, which is fascinating, they have one of the longest defensive possession lengths in America. The average possession for their opponent takes about 18 seconds. They really make you work for the offense you get. I get a feeling, Donnie, if I had the ability to bet shot clock violations for Wichita, I would probably bet it. I think we see a couple here. I just don't know if there's going to be consistent offense for Wichita against Drake. I just kind of hope, and I thought this total would be more at like 138, 137. Yeah. I think it's a little high. I think one team could get to 70, but I don't know if the other team's going to. So I kind of had this at first to 70 wins. I think there could be a little value on the under, especially with these first 4 games. It's new optics. It's kind of realizing where you are. I think Drake will ultimately find a way, but I think the under could be interesting. I'm not playing this game.
No, it's a tough one there, but if I have to give a pick on this, I'm going to fade the line movement here, right? Because we all know like, oh, no, Drake's getting the guy back. Everybody bets him. Now they say, hey, great. If you got Drake like +2 to start, Jeff, on the opening line, that's fantastic because you do look for some CLV. The market's agreeing with you. I get all that. But now I see it on the opposite end of the spectrum and think there is actual value on Wichita State. So I actually wouldn't even take the +1. I would just take the money line at +100 in this one. But again, me being a totals better, usually looking towards the over. Once we get in tournament play here, again, we're playing in Mackey Arena, not going to be all that many fans, neutral court, maybe a little bit tight to start. I lean on the 141 here to start these tournaments until these teams get their rhythms, Jeff.
Exactly. That's my thought. And, the first game I just think is a real rough game to watch it's just rock fights. But this game, I just think the total is just a little high. And I'll take the optics, that maybe not being in their right mindset, they're kind of figuring it as the game goes on. It just seemed a little high to me.
True TV, Jeff, the third game on the card. This will be the second of the doubleheader taking place in Assembly Hall in Bloomington, which again is Indiana University's home court. Appalachian State versus Norfolk State. If we take a look live here at the odds, -3 lining up for Appalachian State, a -162 on the money line. So if you want the dog, you get the +3, the +136, and also an over-under of 133.5. A lot of people who watch a lot of basketball, Jeff, probably haven't seen a live hoop out of Norfolk State or Appalachian State as well. Give the people what they want on this game. The second, as I said, of the doubleheader there in Bloomington tonight in the first 4.
Yeah, Norfolk out of the MEAC. Definitely not surprising that they won the conference. Robert Jones, a terrific coach. I'll tell you about them. Appalachian State also definitely surprising that they won the Sun Belt. They have one of the better coaches that you haven't heard of in Dustin Kearns. He's going to do some really good things at a bigger program really soon. When you look at App State, Donnie, they're kind of a fascinating offense because they're very guard-centric. They run with a lot of dribble handoffs, big at the top of the key, handing it off, and then they just kind of create offensively. This is a guard-driven game. Both teams are very reliant on their guards to create offense. And when App State has they're kind of an all-encompassed offense because sometimes they'll dribble handoff and just get into the lane and score or either get to the line. But there has been a lot of jump shooting involved with Appalachian State as well. And one of the things that kind of propelled them to winning the tournament was the fact that they killed it from 3. I think they shot almost 40% in their championship run in the Sun Belt. So they can really be kind of a deadly offense. When you look at Norfolk, they're almost exclusively like most teams in the MEAC. We're going to put our head down and we're going to try to get into the lane and get to the line. They have one of the highest free throw rates you'll find. They want to live at where most offense is created, in the lane, high percentage shots. You're getting to the free throw. They have a free throw attempt, a field goal attempt at 38.6, which is top 30 in the country. They know, Donnie, that most teams can't defend without fouling. And I've talked glowingly I guess if you could also talk glowingly in a bad way. The Sun Belt generally, Donnie, has teams that cannot defend without fouling. They're notorious for that. But one thing App State does do well is they are very good at not fouling. They actually do. They don't play a hell of a lot of defense, but they are pretty good at not just giving you free opportunities. If you're Norfolk State, you're going to try to pressure App State. I don't know how well that's going to work out. Their turnover rate's not real high. They have 3 guys and guards that can handle the ball. To me, I was kind of surprised this total was only 133.5. When you have 2 offenses that aren't necessarily just going to settle for threes, but they're going to try to get into the lane and create high percentage opportunities, I think this game finds its way over the total. I think both these teams are just kind of in the thought that they're not just going to stand there in a weird gym and shoot threes. They're going to try to, get into the teeth, kind of break press and get into high percentage opportunities. I know Norfolk's going to do that. Joe Bryan and Devontae Carter. One thing about the MEAC that I always loved, Donnie, is they have deep teams. I mean, Norfolk's going to throw a ton of bodies out there. 41% of their minutes are from the bench. So they're going to just throw guys out there and do what they can. This game kind of, to me, is like a 72-68 type of game. I think 133.5 is just a little too low.
Yeah, of all the games of the four, probably, I mean, look, sometimes you do got to rank them as we do it. Probably the least anticipated one for me with these first four games, Jeff, Norfolk State and Appalachian State, but could turn into be a good one. And again, you can get those live lines in game if you're not sure about these two teams, haven't seen them play. Get a feel for them over the first 10 minutes. Be like, you know what? I think Norfolk State's going to be able to carry this. I think Appalachian State's going to be able to carry this. So a lot of good things. But to me, the excitedness, Jeff, of the tournament doesn't get there. But I have to say, ending the night here,
real quick.
Go ahead. Yep.
One final thing. One thing that you can kind of fall back on here as well is from an over standpoint. App State is really shooting the ball well coming into this tournament. I mentioned shooting at about 39% in their 4-game run. So they're shooting the ball well. This is Norfolk State team that's really good from three as well. They don't take a ton of threes, but this just find its way. I was really surprised. I thought we'd see a total probably in the mid to higher 130s. So yeah, this will be – I think it'll turn into a sneaky good game here, Donnie. This could be the best game of the night just from the weird kind of teams you have, and they'll find their way.
Yeah, as that Drake-Wichita State game winds down, obviously that game will be tipping off. And then the late-night game, pretty much done for TV, basically a 10 o'clock tip-off if you want to be exact, 9:57 Eastern time, depending if these games go as planned, no overtimes to push some of these back. But UCLA, Michigan State, when you see the names, like, ooh, get excited, but – you look at both of these programs, UCLA heading down the stretch, losers of 4 straight on a skid heading in. And then you take a look at Michigan State, loses a 3 of 5 down the stretch. And now these two teams meet up. And made for TV. You want to say, hey, Michigan State, UCLA, the common fan will tune in. If we take a look at the FanDuel Sportsbook here, Michigan State is the favorite, -2, and a money line of -136. Over under this one, 135.5. Outside of the names, and it's a college basketball game, technically in the tournament, you get what you get here. You look at UCLA nationally, basically a top 25 offensive efficient team. Michigan State, pretty good defensive team at 32. So that's where the matchup's going to come from. But to me, two teams disappointing this season, trying to right their ship and end in. And hey, if they win a game, Jeff, it's not a bad matchup for either one of these two games to get BYU in the tournament. It could have been worse, but UCLA, Michigan State as the nightcap here on Thursday night in the first 4.
If these teams are what they've been all year, which I think they are, they will not beat BYU. This will be
I like BYU.
Yeah, I do too. I'll tell you right now, this game is a mess, man. I mean, these teams, I think, just are what they are, man. Donnie, you could be a beagle and try to pretend to be a Rottweiler, but at the end of the day, you're a beagle. You just are what you are sometimes. And that's what these teams are, man. They're weird, man. Michigan State is just – it never seems like they've been able to figure out the right lineup. Seems like when they do, then there's something that comes up where it just doesn't work. And I haven't loved their point guard play with Rocket Watts. Hauser's been almost unplayable because while he's good offensively, he just doesn't defend at a real high level. So it just never has really worked. It seems like for a couple of games it'll look good, and then Michigan State will beat Iowa or somebody good, and then they'll lose like a game that they had no business losing. It's just been a weird season. We ask ourselves, Donnie, in this game, is the only reason you take Michigan State just because they have Izzo and he's like better than Cronin? Is that what you do here? Because when you look at UCLA,
I was going to say real quick, Jeff, because you said, because I was just wanted to piggyback off that. The only reason you take it is because it's Michigan State, it's Izzo, or is there maybe an advantage because Michigan State's used to playing in West Lafayette at Mackey Arena, which is Purdue's home court? I mean, that's what I'm trying to look at here, as opposed to saying, like, who's the better team? Like, we're saying, well, they have Izzo, okay, and it's Big Ten country, okay, they don't have to travel far. But outside of that,
Yeah, you have to look. You have to really grasp for straws here on like what you want to do. When you look at UCLA, the truth of the matter is they've had a tough season too with Jalen Hill left the team, who Jalen Hill is their best player. It was a weird season. We didn't know if he would be back, and then he came back and didn't play. They also been with him without Johnny Juzang, the Kentucky transfer, who, frankly, Donnie has been kind of the guy that makes them go. I mean, he takes a ton of their shots. He's kind of their offensive guy to go to at the end of a shot clock or to get a bucket. They have some good point guard play with Tiger Campbell, but whether it's Chris Smith or Jalen Hill, they just haven't had the full complement that they need. They lost their final 4 games, including a game they lost against Oregon State. Again, they're truly in this tournament because their name's UCLA. I don't think you can make any legitimate case they should have been in this tournament. And I think they're going to whimper away because of just without Jalen Hill, they're just not very good, and they've been poor without him. I lean Michigan State. It's just the better of 2 bad teams. But I will honestly say this is a mess of a game. I'll lean with Izzo because he's had some time to prepare. I think you make an interesting point about they have and are familiar with Mackey, which I think in this kind of game will help. It's really the difference between them. It's like aim small, miss small. You try to find just the one little piece of info that can give you the edge. That might be it. Izzo and the fact that they played in Mackey. You have a team in UCLA that I think is pretty surprised they're here. They'll give it their best effort, but it just hasn't been the good season. They're kind of like there was a team we talked about, I think yesterday, Richmond. They're a lot like Richmond, where they just didn't seem to get the right things going, and every player that was injured was really important to their team. It's been a tough, trying year for Mick Cronin. I think he's kind of ready for it to be over. But I lean Michigan State. That would probably be the only side pick I like here. I think it's the only way to go.
You're trying to lean on the grinder, as we like to say that the Big Ten was, that maybe they will be battle ready for this game. But I know you brought up in the previous games here, taking a look at average length of possession, Jeff. UCLA on offense, 307 in the country. How about UCLA on defense, 318? Leads me to believe they're going to extend your offense by playing defense, forcing you to make the extra pass. And on offense, they're really not pushing the ball, going up tempo and trying to get after it like you would see like in Alabama per se.
Yeah, that's a good point. Mick always has good defensive teams. We know Izzo's there. They have a good defense team. Listen, for UCLA to have a chance, they need Juzang to play, and they need him to play pretty well. They need him to give you 15 to 20. I think that's the way to win this game. But Donnie, I'll ask you again, and if you can give me a proper explanation, I'd like to hear it. I don't know if you can or you can't. Why is UCLA in this tournament?
I don't know. They actually came up on the line, Jeff. They came up as the 11. They weren't even like on my radar, so to speak. Like when I saw them come up, I'm like, well, that's kind of interesting here, because it wasn't like, oh, where's UCLA going to get seeded if they were in? When I saw them come up, I said, somebody had to have gotten left out here, because were they talked about all year long? Like, did anybody ever bring up UCLA at any time as, boy, they can make a run, or that's a really good basketball team? Almost like an afterthought. And then there they appear as the 11th seed, saying the NCAA, like, hey, we need the LA market in here along with US. I don't know. I would rather have St. Louis in. I would rather have so many other teams. Yeah. Yes, correct. When
you look at egregious mistakes by the tournament, it didn't come off right away. But I feel like this might be the most egregious. Donnie, if you can actually tell me that West Kentucky, who beat Alabama, they beat Memphis, they beat some good teams, they're not in over – I mean, that just goes to show you it's all about markets. It's
big money
conference or
exactly correct. That's all it is. That's all it is.
It's just there's nothing on this repertoire that
they didn't come in hot. Like, hey, they stunk the whole year, but they won their last 6 games. Came in with a whimper in a bad conference.
They're also not aesthetically pleasing. They don't play great basketball, and they have their best players are injured. Like, nope. I don't see any benefit as to why they're in this tournament. And listen. We heard the same thing with Syracuse a couple of years ago when Syracuse, there shouldn't be in this tournament. It's a mess. It's egregious. And then they go on and go to the Elite or whatever.
And then you got to hear Jim Boeheim insufferable at every press conference. You guys didn't want us here, and now we're here. Come on.
Yeah, it's brutal. But no, I like Mick Cronin. I think early in my basketball career when I was betting, I didn't love Cronin because it always seemed like his teams – he was all bark no bit, but I really respected what he's been able to do at UCLA. It's not easy to get teams to play his type of, junkyard dog defense, like really get after you.
In LA.
Yeah. You got to get kids to believe in that, And Mick is a guy. He's from the streets. If you know anything about Mick Cronin, he grew up in Cincinnati. His father was a coach at a really tough high school, so he's a tough dude, man. Mick Cronin. I still remember when he was at Cincinnati, Donnie. 2 moments. He got into it with Ted Valentine one time in a game. He went nuts. And then if you remember that brawl they got in at Xavier?
Yes, Xavier,
after
yes.
the game, he goes, I don't even know if we have kids that can play here anymore. I don't even know if I have a job. And he kind of gained my respect because it wasn't like, I think at the end of the day, Mick knows, like, you got to defend yourself if you get into a fight, but there's just things you cannot do at this university that we're not going to stand for. And I remember Yancey Gates. Remember that big Yancey Gates dude?
Absolutely.
He just two-piece somebody.
Two-piece, blood. The big white center from Xavier, right? Blood running
and
down
he frees, yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I think it was, I want to say it was Freeze or Mark Lyons. He just buried. And that was probably one of the better brawls you'd see. But
that's a good ride. Now, when you talk about rivalries in the Queen City, that is a rivalry that they take serious. And nobody was surprised by the brawl. Nobody. That's the type of basketball they bring. Yeah.
And I still remember after the game, like, Mark Lyons goes into the press conference, Xavier, and goes, yeah, we're just a bunch of gangsters here, man. Like, and like, we're going to stick up for – and it's true. Like, they are teammates, But
they gave those kids an emotional game and said, go talk to the press right now without any PR guy telling them. And that was their honest opinion of the game. That's like, hey, here's what it is, man. What you saw is real. So,
yeah. And look, and he's been able to take that defensive intensity. And, it's just been a tough year for Mick, man. He deserves better. And, hey, I'll give him all the respect in the world if he can beat Michigan. And he can. It wouldn't surprise me if UCLA win. They just need Juzang to play well. They need Tiger Campbell to not turn it over, and that's not a bad. It'd be different if they had Jalen Hill. I'd really like them here, but you're betting on teams here, Donnie, that just are who they are. So if at the end of the game you're looking at yourself and saying, "Why the hell did I bet this last game of the night? I got Friday and Saturday coming up. Why did I wait?" Don't do that, But it's March Madness, and you can't tell anyone. Everyone wants to bet every game. Donnie, I'm actually going to be. I'm in Atlantic City later, and I got to come home, and I think I'm probably going to come home during this game just because I don't really
get the updates on the phone. Maybe have the radio spinning around.
I don't like. I'll watch the first couple of games down there, but I'm not. This game just doesn't do a whole lot for me.
I like unders. I like unders in these four. Like if I'm looking to say, hey, what do you guys like? Honest to goodness, I don't think you can hurt yourself if you take the under in each one of these four games. But the side I do like, and it's just from a perspective of now what value are you getting? Everybody's on Drake. The number went that way, and you got to follow the number and do it. But now I think it actually swings to some value on Wichita State. We'll see where it closes once game time comes up at 6:27. But I like to look and say, all right, everybody's on Drake. Now, why should I be now looking back on Wichita State? That's the way I feel. But I think the unders should play out decently tonight.
You also have to do this, and a lot of people don't because they don't have the willpower to say, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
But if you have a game that's +2, +2.5. And by the time you look at it, they're -1.5.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to justify playing that. You're getting the worst number. Like it's you could have been practicing
possession. Like plus,
yeah.
Like when you look at the -1 pick 'em, okay, I understand that. But when you look at how many things come into play in a 3-point game, foul the shooter, they make one, they miss the second on purpose. That 2-point possession is huge. So if you're right, if you're saying, well, I could have had +2, now I'm taking -1, you lost a complete possession.
And remember, 0 doesn't count.
No, correct.
So you're losing. Like, Donnie, let me ask you. If you're down 4 with 4 seconds to go, would you rather be getting 2.5 or -1?
Exactly.
Like, there's just all sorts of opportunities late as well. Like, it's just, I'm always looking to, and I'm not going to bet a bet. If I like a total over 133 and it's 137.5, I just missed the boat. I didn't get in on it early enough. So, let me recap kind of what I would do here. My favorite play on this card is that first game. I like the under 133. Yeah. I do also like Mount St. Mary's. I just think they're better overall. I think they turned Texas Southern into a jump shooting team, and that's bad news for the Texas Southern boys. Drake, Wichita. I lean under. Just seems too high to me. I think both teams are going to take some time to get into the flow of this game, and I think it's probably first a 68 win. Norfolk State, App State, one game that I actually lean over. I think the guard play is just really good. I think these are two underrated shooting teams. I think this will find its way up and over. And then the final game, I think it's just a mishigas of a mess, I'm probably
Late
going to avoid.
night, UCLA's on, so they got to put the game on late for the West Coast crowd and, see how it plays out now. Meanwhile, we'll be watching that game. Can't wait for the next day's game. Yeah, go ahead. Gun to your head. Who you got?
A free bet. Yes. I would take UCLA. I just think
Juzang is that because of your hate for Michigan State and Tom Izzo, or
no? I don't hate Michigan State at all. I think Juzang is a good player. I think they can combat Henry a little bit, and you did make some really valid points. It's hard to go against Izzo, and that could be the deciding issue. I am not playing this game. I want to make this very clear. I'm not betting this game.
Jeff, you said you like UCLA. They got blasted. Who are you?
Yeah, that's always the growing sentiment. But keep in mind, guys, I am on here to give info. Like, they want me to pick games. I'll make it clear I'm betting them. I'm not betting this game. I have no.
I want to know when your official picks come out, so then we can start posting them on here.
If this game was during the Friday or Saturday card,
you wouldn't even looked at it.
I wouldn't even looked at it. I wouldn't watch 1 minute of it.
Correct, exactly.
It's like Oklahoma, Missouri to me. It's just a coin flip. I don't think it's going to matter because they're not going to beat Gonzaga. I don't think either of these teams is going to beat Brigham Young either. So I just don't spend much time on it.
Is what it is. 4-game wrap-up, Jeff. The first 4 as we get grounding and pounding on Friday morning, 9 a.m., going strong with a complete card as the tournament officially tips off tonight. But actually, the big boys get into play on Friday morning and Friday afternoon all the way through the night. One of the most exciting times of the year, Jeff. We missed out on it last year. We're back in it here. The Hoops Betting Hour with Jeff Nadu, powered by PicksWise and presented by FanDuel all the way through the tournament. We got you covered right here. Hit the thumbs up, hit the thumbs down, hit the subscribe button. We are growing daily here, and turn those notification bells on because it's still early at 9 a.m. Bing, bing, bing. Jeff and Donnie talking college basketball. Get in here and say hello.
Yeah, and we know if you're watching after the fact, make sure you subscribe, and if you're new around here, do that, all that stuff. But, Donnie, 2 things before we go. Yeah. We'll be back tomorrow, Friday. Very excited about the big day is here. We'll go over all the games from a betting perspective. You take a look at where the money's going, what we like, what I like. We'll break all that down. And also, we're here every day. So we'll be here Saturday. We'll be here Sunday. We're going to be here every day taking you up through the tournament. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thanks for coming over to PicksWise. Make sure you check out the contest going on that I'm involved in, that some other people are involved in. It's for 10 G's. It's not for play. We're going to
actually get money.
The winner's going to get 10,000. So and make sure you're frequenting FanDuel as well, the best book in the business. If you're eligible to play FanDuel, you should be doing it. Not even a question. I'm the big man on campus. He's Donnie Rightside. There you have it. First 4 in the books. We'll see you Friday. Thanks, everybody, for checking out the Hoops Betting Hour. We'll see you tomorrow for the big start of the actual tournament.